Mr. Speaker, America is a great and a good country, but sometimes in its past it's made great and lamentable mistakes. H.R. 4783 offers this Congress the opportunity to correct some of the worst mistakes that we've made in the course of our long and distinguished history. There are three parts to this legislation: a component to deal with African-American farmers, and that ought to be passed; a component to deal with Indian water rights, and that certainly needs to be passed; and finally, the largest portion of this bill deals with the so-called Cobell lawsuit. For those of my colleagues who are not familiar with that suit, it's a 14-year lawsuit. It involves almost 500,000 claimants. It deals with the accumulated mistakes and misdeeds of the American government from 1887 to the present. We have twice in the course of this lawsuit had federal officials held in contempt of court in two different administrations, one Republican and one Democrat. And frankly, the previous administration thought we should settle this bill at between $8 and $11 billion. So frankly, this settlement is a bargain for the American taxpayers. And we're going to hear a lot of arguments against this particular piece of legislation. Some people will say it costs too much. The reality is, number one, it's fully paid for. It passed by the United States Senate by unanimous consent, which means some of our colleagues over there who are famous for being frugal signed off on it. Second, we ought to think about the cost of not settling it. The United States government has spent over $1 billion, almost $1 billion, on this lawsuit in the course of 14 years. And if we do not pass this legislation, we will be in court again. And if the plaintiffs prevail, the cost could be well beyond what's been negotiated by the administration. We'll hear arguments about process. And to my colleagues, I've got to ask you, how much process do you want when you've been waiting since 1887 to deal with a bill? This bill suit has been around 14 years. It's been in this Congress years and years. I've been to many hearings about this lawsuit. And frankly, we've seen it, we passed it twice in this Congress already. So the idea that it hasn't been thoroughly vetted, I think, is not true. And finally, we're going to hear about legal fees. I got to tell you, if you can get lawyers for 3 cents on the dollar, take the deal. That is the best legal deal I have ever seen in front of the Congress of the United States, far below what you would normally expect contingency fees to be. The administration, frankly, has done a good job in negotiating this settlement, bringing it to us. We need to do a good job as well and pass it enthusiastically and recognize that we are getting a good deal for the American taxpayer, but much more importantly, we are correcting historic wrongs that should never have occurred. Yield back.
My yields back. Balance of time. Gentleman from Washington.
Mr. Speaker, I yield the time that I have remaining